This video is to show you how to do a histogram, a frequency distribution, a frequency polygon, and an ogive. I'm going to begin by making a copy of my spreadsheet. So I'm going to click on the File menu and then Make a Copy. And you want to make sure that you are logged in before you save this. So it will save under your account. You can name it whatever you want to. Click OK. And now I have my own copy that I can work with. So first I'm going to make a histogram. I'm going to click on the first cell and scroll down. And I'm going to hold down the Shift key to click on the last cell. That will select everything in between. Insert, Chart. In this case, it made the wrong decision. So I'm going to click on Chart Type and pick Histogram. Now I've got these strange widths for my classes here. I don't like that, so I'm going to click on Customize, Histogram, and change the bucket size. The example I did in class, I used a bucket size of 10, so to be a little different, let's do 15. And so I'll just manually put 15 in there and press Enter. And now I have widths of 15, which actually make classes with a width of 14. Because this first class will actually be 60 to 74. Since this is not a word problem, I don't have any context for the data. I want to get rid of this title. When you click on the title, notice that the Customize menu for the title pops up, but I'm just going to press the Delete key and get rid of that. Press Enter. And now I'm going to go to this three-dot menu in the upper right-hand corner and say Move to Own Sheet. Once I move it to its own sheet, I can double-click on the tab and give the tab a name. And I'm finished with that. Now, if I hover my mouse over each bar, I get the frequencies for each class. And so I have written those down. And now I'm going to make my frequency distribution. So my classes are going to be 60 to 74, 75 to 89, etc. Now I've finished putting the classes in, and so I'm going to put my frequencies in from the histogram. Now that I have all of those frequencies in, I want to total them up to see how many I have. So every formula in a spreadsheet begins with sum. So I'm going to type sum, left parenthesis. I'm going to drag my mouse over all of the values that I want added up, finish it off with the right parenthesis, and press Enter. So I have a total of 60 observations. For frequency percent, I'm going to start with equals. I want to take this number and divide by the total. So I click on the 2, type the slash for divided by, and then click on the total. I want to be able to copy this as I go down the column. As I copy, each cell reference will change by one row, since I'm going down one row at a time, but I don't want that E11 to change. So I'm going to press the F4 key, which is going to make that an absolute reference. Anything with a $ in front of it will not change when I copy the formula. Now, if I continue to press the F4 key, I'll cycle through all of the possibilities. Sorry for the interruption from my wife. So now I have my absolute reference. I'm going to press Enter. And now I get a decimal number. I want this formatted as a percentage, so I'm going to click on Format as Percent. I would like to have a whole number percent, so I'm going to go over to the next button, Decrease Decimal Places, and click that until it is rounded to the nearest whole percent. Now that I have the formatting in the formula that I want, I'm going to copy this down the column, and there are my frequency percents. The next column is cumulative frequency, which I'm going to abbreviate. The first cumulative frequency is the same as the first frequency. Then everyone after that, I want to take the cumulative frequency above and add the frequency that's on the same line. That formula is going to copy just fine. So I'll click on that and copy it down the column. And there again is my total of 60 at the end. Cumulative frequency percent. I'm going to do the same thing I did with frequency percent, equals the number divided by the total. And then press the F4 key. If you're on a Mac, that's going to be Command T. And I'll adjust the formatting before I copy, so the formatting will copy as well. And I'm going to copy that down. And there is my frequency distribution. Next, for the frequency polygon, I've got X and Y coordinates. Now, this is left over from where I've attempted this video before. The way that I made this cell go across both columns is I type frequency polygon in the first cell, and then format, merge cells, merge all, and then center. And I'll show you that again when we do the ogive. So I need the midpoint of each class. And I need to start with the class below the data. The class below the data is 45 to 59, which has a midpoint of 52. Then 60 to 74 has a midpoint of 67. The joys of computers. Now, when I highlight both the 52 and the 67, and I drag this lower right-hand corner, it's going to continue that pattern. And I went one too far, so I'll select that and delete it. Now, for the frequency polygon, there's nothing in that class below the data, so that's a 0. Then the rest of the frequencies, I'm going to select this with my mouse, right-click and copy, and then click and right-click and paste, and then I have a 0 in the class above the data. Now I'm going to select both the X and the Y coordinates, go to Insert, Chart. There's my chart. I don't like the title. It doesn't understand what it is. So I delete that. Now to delete these labels on the bottom and on the side, when I click on it, I just erase the title text and it gets rid of it. Can't do that on the chart itself. Then under Series, I'm going to select Point Size, and in this case I pick 7 points. That's what PX stands for, and now I have my frequency polygon. Oh, one more thing, let me get rid of this by saying Position None. And then I will click on the 3-dot menu and move to Own Sheet, and that is my frequency polygon. And now for the ogive. O-G-I-V-E. I'm going to select that cell and the next cell. Go to Format, Merge Cells, Merge All, and then Format, Align, Center. Then I have X and Y. I'm going to change the size of the column by dragging over the column titles, the L and the M, the border in between. Okay, now for the ogive, I need the right endpoint. So the right endpoint of the class below the data is 59. And then the right endpoint of the first class in the data is 74. That's enough to establish a pattern. So I'll select both of those, drag the fill handle, and you see I go down to $194. and I paused the video so that I could fix the 194 over in the classes. I had 184. Okay, there's a cumulative frequency of 0 for the class below the data. Now I want to copy these cumulative frequencies. So I'm going to copy and then click on the first cell here. Now the cumulative frequencies come from formulas. And if I just paste, I'm going to copy those formulas, which says take the value that's above you and add the value that's on the same line 2 columns over. So what I want to do when I paste is I want to paste special and paste the values only. Now I can select the values, insert, chart. It guesses wrong as to what I want, so let me choose a line chart. I don't know why it's doing this, but the x-axis, I need to be L. Got to click in the box in order to be able to type L3 to L12. So when you would specify a range of values, you put a colon in between it. Okay. Now I want to take the L3 to L12 out of here, so I'll remove that. Click on that. Now I got to go under Customize, Legend None, and Series. Let's put the dots in. Now if I can move this out of the way. My 3-dot menu, move to Own Sheet. Double click on that and call it an ogive. That's everything you need to know.